wherein we bring you all the aspects of how the COVID-19 pandemic is dealt with in India, the technological aspects, the drugs, the vaccines, and the work being done by our COVID warriors on the ground. Today, we're going to talk about a very important and an interesting topic as well, that is an integrated approach to tackle COVID-19 pandemic. That is the different forms of medicine, be it allopathic, Ayurveda, homeopathic, and other forms of medicines as well. How can they be deployed to tackle this particular crisis? And for this, we are joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Professor Tanuja Nesri. She is Director of the All India Institute of Ayurveda. Welcome to Rajya Sabha TV, ma'am. We also have with us Dr. A. Raghu. He is the Joint Advisor Ayurveda with the Ministry of Ayush, and Dr. Anil Gurtu, the Director, Professor and Head of the Department of Medicine in Lady Hardinge Medical College, New Delhi. So let me begin the show, and let me begin with you, Dr. Raghu, and let's try and understand this concept of integrated approach to combat COVID-19.
Yeah. As we know that our country, along with other parts of the globe, is going through the menace of the COVID-19. And in country like ours, there is a lot of versatility in terms of medical systems. For example, we have from more than 3,000 years ago, we have the medical systems like Ayurveda, then later the period with the Unani, then the advent of homeopathy into the medical streams. So we have experience of assimilating the strengths of various medical systems in our country, and parallel infrastructure have been created by the government for the development of these medical systems. And people also are having the faith as well as the experiential aspects of these medical systems in their day-to-day life here. So what we are envisaging here, even in the context of the COVID-19, how we can effectively utilize these medical systems so that an integrated approach can be developed in terms of the human resource, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the system strengths, so that a unified command and unified force can be easily translated into the field. So that may be in a real sense yes.
Okay. And how are we going about that, Dr. Raghu? How is that being done on the ground, specifically if you look at all these forms of medicine?
Yes. So as far as Ayush is concerned, here we have a Ministry of Ayush independently doing for all these medical systems like Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy. So as far as in this particular disease condition itself is concerned, then human resources, a vast number of human resources available in our country in the form of registered medical practitioners, the teaching institutions, these Ayush hospitals and dispensaries, and a large number of students who are studying these education institutions. So this collectively, this augmentation of this human resource, their training, their capacity building, and their field level deployment will go a long way. For that purpose, actually, ministry has already started. This initiative has been taken, and accordingly, the state governments and UT governments has owned these whatever the initiatives of the Ministry of Ayush.
Okay.
And apart from that, yes.
Please continue.
Apart from that, various manufacturing firms are already manufacturing various kinds of traditional herbal medicines, and the augmentation of their medicinal manufacturing capacity, for that enabling guidelines have been provided to them, so that even for the state licensing authorities, we asked them to give the licenses for example, the immunity promotion medicines and other things within short period, how can be licensed. Accordingly, that enabling guidelines have been provided to them. And in addition, actually, because the research and documentation is one of the important aspects as far as the traditional medicine is concerned, actually, which is vital. For that purpose, interdisciplinary research and development task force has been created in the ministry, in which Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, then the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, then which is overall this technical coordination with the ICMR that has been formed, and they have given very specific recommendations on how to roll out these research studies, various kinds of research studies through our research councils and national institutes. There
Okay.
also an integrated approach is envisaged.
Okay. Let me bring in Dr. Gurtu here. Dr. Gurtu, from your perspective, how can we look at this entire concept of integrated approach of different forms of medicines? You heard Dr. Raghu there.
I would approach integration. Integration is the central tool, the central theme we have with us today to tackle this pandemic. But the fundamental questions are two: integration of what? What are we integrating? And what is the purpose behind that integration? First, integration. Now, COVID demonstrates us a crisis of disintegration. Disintegration between the human life form, the way we have organized our life for the last 200 years, and nature, the larger nature. And this virus has come out of that disconnect between the way we have organized our life, collective life, social life, and nature. And from that disconnect, from the bat to the civets, that is the jungle, the forests, it has made a jump to us in the midst of our civilization and has almost rendered it apart. It is almost in a paralysis. So integration at the level of nature and human life forms, the way we organize our life, that has to change. That is integration at the most basic level, that we have to do it differently now onwards. The second integration is between our medical approaches, the health systems approaches, the allopathic and the other systems which are being represented here on this program. Between them, the way we look at life, ultimately what is health? It's life. And all life is interconnected, as this pandemic has brought it to the fore very clearly. Everything is connected with every other thing, whether human or insect or river or a mountain or a forest. So that integration has to occur at our level of approaches, the perspectives that I as allopathic physician brings to the table, and the other systems. All of us look at life, however, we still view life from a slightly different perspectives. I may view life as a purely organic perspective, which is good in itself, but it is still defective, it lacks. The other systems of Ayush view life in a more holistic framework, which is what we need to get into our allopathic systems. The other systems need a bit of our approach, evidence-based, or the approach of science. So if we can, while remaining different in our perspectives, still collaborate, accommodating the difference on a common platform, approaching life differently, and yet beginning and maintaining a dialogue through the medium of science, that's the second integration that we have to somehow begin right now, which is not there at the, maybe there at the higher level, but at my level as a clinician, it's not there.
Okay. And that's a very interesting aspect as well. Based on science, this collaboration is required. Let me bring in Professor Tanuja here. Professor Tanuja, as far as Ayurvedic form of medicine is concerned, and we've seen several guidelines also coming in, suggestions also coming in, that how immunity can be boosted further. So what is the role being played by the Ayurveda in this fight against COVID-19?
Yeah, it's a very relevant question in terms of managing this pandemic COVID crisis. As rightly pointed out by Dr. Gurtu, is the integration is basically between the external environment and within ourselves. That is the basic fundamental principle of Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is a knowledge system of healthy and happy life that teaches, that tells everyone how to create harmony with the external environment and within ourselves. That is number one. And secondly, it is the harmony between our own self as a holistic approach, comprehensive, between mind, body and spirit. When we lose this connection between the outside environment and within ourselves, that is the result is the disease. And in this COVID pandemic, this knowledge system, Ayurveda had this wisdom and intelligence of managing these pandemic situations And in terms of, it is called a Janapadodvansa Vyadhi. That means when entire community is infected, maybe
Mhm.
because of four factors: vitiated air, vitiated water, polluted desha, that is entire region, and time. So this condition, we call it as a vitiated desha and vitiated air because it is a droplet infection. And how to manage and how to tackle these conditions, that wisdom already we had. And if we look in the history, uh, even though when there was a plague and Spanish flu and the cholera, the all Ayurvedic physicians, they had come forward and they had played a better role, major role to manage these conditions. And one of the major aspect of managing is the immunomodulatory immune system. Because when we say that all are infected and all has got a exposure, then the one who is protected is the one who has a strong immune system. And
Mhm.
Ayurveda tells us how to build up the immune system. And that is the again holistic with good diet, good lifestyle, good thought process. You observe a good sleep hygiene, take good sleep, rest, and fresh fruit. And more important is the immunomodulatory herbs that is called as Rasayan Chikitsa. So those herbs are tulsi, giloy, aula, then the spices like cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, and black pepper. So, considering this immune system and the Rasayan Chikitsa, what Ayurveda ministry did immediately, because entire world there is no sure shot medicine. The world is now managing this condition with empirical evidences.
Mhm.
Even though whatever HCQ, azithromycin, and ramaprevil, all these are empirical evidences, it is not a sure shot medicine. The same Ayurveda has the immune systems. And what ministry did, that ministry notified the advisory which which says about, advised about how to take care of your immune system through the home care measures, which involved, which was like just preventing the entry of the virus, like you take the do the gargling, nasal application of the oil. So all these preventing the entry of the virus, then preventing the replication of the virus inside the body. All
Mhm.
antiviral herbs like neem, tulsi, giloy, all bitter herbs. And third, more important, preventing the damage to the tissues if the virus starts the cytokine storm and inflammation. So the immune herbs like who has all the herbs which have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and rejuvenating and immunomodulatory actions like avla and all. So and
Okay.
haldi also. So I think that is playing a major role. And when entire world was under lockdown and people had no such option and to buy anything from outside, so these measures, which are really self-care measures like immune boosting kadha, herbal
Mhm.
tea, that really helped millions of people to take care of their immunity. And this preventive and prophylaxis is a strength of Ayurveda, which entire world really has to follow. And this is an integration. Even though you take whatever medicine, but you build up your immune system with the helps of Ayurveda immune modulatory measures, including diet, lifestyle. Inculcate healthy lifestyle. That is the
Okay.
message of Ayurveda, which
Okay.
entire
Okay.
humanity has to be
Okay,
really.
that's very aptly put out there by Dr. Tanuja. You know, inculcating healthy lifestyle, that is what is required as far as prevention and management is concerned. Dr. Gupta, I'd like to bring you back in here. And when we were talking about the integrated approach, you know, even in allopathic measures, there is an advisory given by the doctors and during this crisis as well as to how to prevent oneself. So not much of a difference. The basic theme seems to be the same, that one has to prevent oneself by boosting the immunity.
Yes. Uh, our approach and the approach of Ayush, there is not much difference if we look at life at its most fundamental level. If we take a superficial look, it is different. But if we approach it at a fundamental level, then all life forms, they appear similar. Now, we emphasize on prevention, primordial, primary, secondary, tertiary. the same is there. We
Mm-hmm.
approach it as an imbalance between agent, vector, host, and environment. And that imbalance between the agent, host, and environment has created this pandemic. Their approach is exactly the same, more or less. They also have a theory of imbalance of humors or their elements and forces. So it is the same disequilibrium, imbalance, which has to be restored dynamically again, again, and again. It's a dynamic process. And if you look at life as this kind of a dynamic flow and constant rebalancing and re-equilibration of energy,
Mm-hmm.
then there is not much difference. We also have learned and picked out everything we do or practice today in allopathic medicine. We have picked it after observing nature, taking it out. Only difference is we abstracted things a bit too much at the micro level. In the process that our medical approach has got abstracted from the larger mother nature. So, and the human condition, the emotions, the social conditions, the economic conditions, the culture, all these factors, we have got ourselves abstracted and we only see the organ system, the disease to be tackled and go back. So
Mm-hmm.
that is where we have landed ourselves into a tunnel, the allopathic medicine. So that much
Okay.
we have to learn from the other systems of enlarging our perspective of life to include Mother Nature and to include the larger social condition in which human beings thrive. That disconnect has to be addressed by us allopathics, and that we
Mm-hmm.
have to learn from the others, the Ayush. So, to that extent, it's a convergence, I would say, provided
Okay.
we have a dialogue.
Okay, it is indeed the convergence, and the goal here is to maintain that equilibrium which has always existed. Let me bring in Dr. Raghu here. Dr. Raghu, in terms of development of some drugs, is there some work being done by the the Ayush Ministry to develop Ayurvedic drugs or some other aspects to try and find cure for COVID-19? Work on that aspect, is it also ongoing?
Traditionally, Ayurveda and other traditional medical systems of our country, they have been using many such medicines for similar viral conditions. Actually, I would like to bring back the attention to earlier episodes of the chikungunya, earlier episodes of the dengue hemorrhagic fever, or earlier episodes of other similar viral disorders in which Ayush interventions, particularly Ayurveda, has been immensely used in various parts of the country. And along with modern medications, the use of many of such herbal remedies has been proved to be, to some extent, will be beneficial to the community. And accordingly, from the initial leads that whatever we have obtained in the previous days, actually, Ministry, the task force has been elaborated all these discussions with, along with the other technical experts. Then after that, they have recommended certain medicines for the studies actually. So these studies have been broadly divided into two or three categories. One study is the population-based studies where Ayush remedies which are used as a for a prophylactic basis for the prevention and prophylaxis that will be studied in a population of approximately up to 5 lakh people throughout the country by the research councils and national institutes. Then another way is that very specific clinical trial interventions, where as an add-on therapy, Ayush interventions is evaluated along with the conventional medical care, along with the standard of care, whatever the present standard of care. So along with that, also another kind of studies are also going on. Along with that, well, largely our people have been now using these simple remedies for their self-care. So the documenting that self-care is little bit difficult. Therefore, we have developed a mobile app. So through the mobile app, Ayush Sanjeevani mobile app, all these medical use by the common public has, is supposed to be documented, and the huge data of we are expecting almost 5 million people use, that will be documented. So the preferences to this Ayush medical systems, or what are their perceptions about the traditional medical systems in our country, everything can be documented. So
Okay.
in this way, 2 or 3 broad way, we want to document all these aspects where there is no specific concept of the new drug in Ayurveda. Whatever drugs are there, everything in the globe is actually drug. Only the therapeutic use is the wisdom of the physician, actually, based on the principles of the Ayurveda. So based on that concept, actually, uh, so far, whatever medicines we have been using for similar conditions, and from that lead, we actually try to make a very clear-cut scientific evidence for that. That is the way we are going forward.
Okay. Okay, that's very interesting, and that's going to be very detailed aspect as well for everybody to go ahead and look into. Let me bring in Professor Tanuja here for the concluding words here. And before we bring this show to an end, one very important aspect, which if you can bring out, Professor Tanuja, is the Ayurveda's immunity boosting measures for self-care. Some people can use that in their daily regimen, because in the last 20 odd minutes, all three of you spoken about how it is important to boost immunity to prevent oneself. That's the most important aspect. So if you could take our viewers through the process, or some measures which they can implement on a daily basis in their daily routine.
Yeah. Yes, it's a very important to take care of one's immunity. What I would like to say as a conclusion, that the health is why everyone, this small tiny virus has taught us, has given a big lesson for everyone on this earth, is that health is individual responsibility. It is one's responsibility to take care of oneself, and how we take care, that just build up our own immune system. And if you look at the latest report also, that immune boosting market has been raised up to 20 to 40% from 5 to 7%. So that itself shows that people's interest now, and people have become aware. Now, I would suggest from Ayurveda perspective that now it is a time not only to prevent, and but it is now time to learn how to live with corona, and how to live without fear and without stigma. So this is that immune boosters, if we take, everyone takes it, I think that would create a big confidence, along with all self-care measures, and so sanitization and washing, and hand washing, and respiratory hygiene. We have to take some immune boosters. And one important, I will say, daily herbal health promoter, that is Aula. If you take a Aula a day, that keeps doctor away. So Aula in the form of Aula with Haldi, because it is immunomodulator and Haldi is antiviral. So you can take both together, or Amalak Rasayan, Aula in the form of Chavanprash, or juice. You can take any form, but you have to take one. And then Giloy, that is Giloy tablet is available, or Sanshamanavati you can take. And the immune boosting kadha, herbal tea Ayush has developed, that includes 5 things. One is a cinnamon, second is a black pepper, third is a ginger, fourth is holy basil, that is tulsi, and kali munakka. If you add all those 5 things, and if you make chai ka masala, and you just make chai, you make tea, it will take only 5 minutes every day, morning and evening. If you take, that will take care of your immunity. And golden milk, that is milk with 1 teaspoonful of haldi, turmeric. I think that is also best immunity booster in this COVID crisis. I think that is the message. Live with COVID, live without fear. I think that is the herd immunity, and take good diet and proper sleep.
Definitely live
Message.
with all the preventive measures being taken, and those are some very interesting and important measures which can be taken at home in terms of Ayurvedic immunity boosting measures out there. Thank you so much, Professor Tanuja, Dr. Raghu, and Dr. Gurtu as well, for sharing your views on this particular topic. As our panelists have pointed out, we will have to be responsible for our own health. It is an individual's own responsibility. Prevention is the best remedy here, and it also involves boosting your immunity. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha television and don't forget to follow all the norms, specifically with respect to social distancing. Thank you.